Hello, welcome to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. We're live at the moment from Indy. Just finished watching the All-Star Friday Night, the skills competition and the three-point challenge. Very exciting night. I'm happy to be here with Calvin Wetzel, an oldie but a goodie from all of our podcasts. Haven't seen you since the last time we did an on-site podcast, the Final Four.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's fun to be on another pod with you.
Exactly. Well, we're excited to be here this weekend. I think it's been a great vibe here being in Indy. The first thing I thought we should just start up talking about was what our experience was leading up to this evening. You got in late last night. I got in around dinner time yesterday. Like, what's been your impression after like 24 hours in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean it's the energy is great. I feel like every big women's basketball event when you talk about Final Fours and All-Star finals, things like that, it's always just the whole community feels like it's coming together and celebrating the sport and the growth of the sport. And you feel that around the city, and especially like in Indy, downtown is kind of compact. Everything's walkable. So you walk around and you see WNBA Live, is that what it's called? The little area with all sorts of cool stuff. And there's just so much going on and so much good energy.
Yeah, no, it's been a ton going on. I gotta say, this might be the best experience I think I've had in the city. I think it's a combination of the fact that Indianapolis is pretty compact and pretty small, and I think the Fever and the WNBA have really kind of invested to do it right. I mean, just the moment you walked off the plane, there's been signage in some of the other All-Star games, and even really the Final Four. But even in Tampa in April, it felt like there was other things going on in the world. Here, it just feels like everything is about the All-Star game. I've heard before, Indianapolis hosted the NBA All-Star game. They host the Big Ten tournament. They host many Final Fours. I've heard nothing but great things about it as a host city, and it's really like lived up to it. I mean, I posted on Blue Sky earlier. They really kind of did it up on, I think it's called Georgia Street, where there's just all kinds of sort of activities. Did you see the street signs with the team names that were on them that I posted?
Didn't.
Yeah, there just were like so many nice touches, whether it's like the baggage claim at the airport being like totally, it wasn't just one sign, it was like totally decked out.
Or the fat heads. I did see the fat heads.
Oh, I didn't see the fat heads.
The like Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Leah Boston, like they're like in the windows of like stores and restaurants. Yeah.
I did see that. Everyone's kind of walking around. It just feels like it's not like, hey, WNBA All-Stars here in a city that's busy. It feels like Indianapolis is all about the All-Star game, really to a level like I haven't seen. I think this is my fifth All-Star game. I was trying to do the math on it. You said it was your second? You and I were at Chicago together.
My second, yeah. Chicago, at least from the only two that I have to compare to, Indy is doing it a lot better than Chicago, I think. Pretty safe to say. Obviously, the WNBA has grown quite a bit in that time. That was 2022. But you're right. I mean, it really feels like everything is revolving around this. And whether it's like, the server at the restaurant, like the checkout person at the hotel desk, everyone's like, oh, you must be here for All-Star. Like, that's the thing. If you're here, that's what you're doing. That's what's going on.
Yeah. And I mean, just to think back to where we were, let's say 3 years ago tonight or whatever, when we were it was like McCormick Center, which is the convention center near Wintrust in Chicago. It basically felt like a 3-point contest in a warehouse or something.
It was basically a warehouse,
right?
They messed that up pretty bad.
I don't think there were any media seating for the 3-point contest and the skills thing, if I recall correctly. I think we were just like standing on the corner.
Yeah, the fans weren't allowed in. Media was allowed in, but you had to like just stand in the corner basically because there wasn't really room.
And then just to contrast that with everything we have all around us, all the lighting, the shows, we're basically sitting right over where they did all the intros, just kind of night and day. Phoenix was also very impressive last year, but, it felt like we were just a teeny part of what was going on in Phoenix. Here, it just feels like Indy's all about it to a different degree. So I've been quite impressed. And, I know a lot of people, there's a lot of discourse out there, right, about Indiana and Indiana fans and all that. But I mean, they've been incredibly welcoming from what I've seen.
Yeah, the fans are a different conversation, but the city and the atmosphere and the environment is phenomenal. I've enjoyed my 24 hours so far.
Yes. So you said you went to WNBA Live today. I believe you should know what it's called since you were there. I didn't make it out. What were your impressions of what you saw there?
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, they have one of those type of deals at the Final Four too. And like I said, like every big event like that around women's basketball, it feels like that's like the happening place. I mean, even Unrivaled had like a little sort of mini version of that when you go in. And it's just like it feels like, you know, kids are getting pictures and like pop a shot or whatever, and like everyone is just having fun, and that's like it really gets you hyped just to like be here. Even like early afternoon, like it's not even close to game time or people aren't filing in yet, but it's just like everything's already going on. You know, this is you're all here for the same thing, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I gotta say, I was feeling a little inspired actually to see. I don't know, a little more this time than years past. I don't know why, because it's always the same crowd shots or whatever. But just to see all the young kids, especially the young girls that are kind of dancing, excited, all wearing jerseys. You know, you have the sense. I mean, I remember, you know, so often you hear about players from say 7 to 10 years ago, and you ask them who their favorite player was. It was an NBA player, and you could just see that that's not the case now with this next generation.
Yeah, and it's really cool that WNBA is sort of meeting that moment in the sense that they kind of know. I mean, we talk about how far they've come since 2022. It feels like they know how much they're growing at this point, and they're trying to embrace it, and you can feel it with the fans and, like you said, the kids. And WNBA is basically like a generation old or a generation and a half old at this point. So
I found that it's actually, I would say it's more than one.
2 generations at most.
Yeah.
It's not even 30 years old yet.
You
Is the
would be
point.
surprised at how old the Silky Citron thinks you are. Years. Page.
It's not more than 2 generations. No one's grandparent
Well, sure.
was not born yet when the WNBA started.
In terms of generations of trends, though, it's unbelievable.
In generations of trends, that's true. But in terms of like fandom, when you think about sports, like passing on fandom to your kid and their kid and their kid, you know, and a lot of people develop sports fandom like from their parents, right? And that hasn't fully had the same amount of time to kind of develop over the generations as it has in some other sports. But it feels like we're just starting to see like these next generation fans now who like don't know anything other than the WNBA being big. Like they don't remember a time when the WNBA was not really important and a really big mainstream part of sports and of society. And it's really cool to see that just start to kind of come into the mainstream.
Yeah, and you talk about expectations. It gives us a chance to segue into a topic that was kind of important to me, and a big part of my day was hearing all the discussion about the CBA. I don't know if you were traveling yesterday. You were at WNBA Live. Did you catch many of the quotes or many of the coverage of?
Yeah, I saw the statement that they put out, and that they had 40 players at the meeting, which is incredible. And it sounds like players know their value and they know what they're worth, and they're not going to settle. So, obviously, no one wants a lockout, but I do think it's really cool that the players have come to the point where they understand how much value they are bringing to the league in terms of the ratings and ticket prices and things of that nature, and they're not going to settle for anything less than they deserve at this point. So I'm very interested to see where talks go in the next season.
Yeah, I mean, there was expectations. I was thinking about that when I was talking to Kiki Riff and Sonia Citron today. I didn't talk to Paige, and just sort of like what their expectations are. You think about Paige and her growing up, and you contrast that with what Stewie's expectations probably were when she was like a junior in high school, or even a freshman at UConn. Just the expectations they've seen women's basketball be big time at the college level. Now they're entering the W, and presumably they're going to want to see. We've heard all the stories over the years about how players were shocked at their charter travel in college that they didn't get in the W, and so it's really going to be fascinating to see what the players. One thing that came up as a theme I thought today was, I think the 40 players, that's the most that have been together since the bubble.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them, it was sort of eye-opening to get engaged. I think a lot of people, like Citron spoke about, listening, and I think there's just so much that they're trying to learn in their first year in the W. So, but I think based on yesterday's meeting, they've kind of learned that they need to learn a lot, and I think I got the impression they're going to be probably even more engaged on it. They realize the importance to them. As they said, this is probably going to be a long CBA, and it could be their entire career.
Yeah.
Right? If they don't opt out of the next CBA. I think that it's really going to be interesting. It seems like they're clearly at an impasse. The owners definitely want to stick with this fixed share model where they're really kind of specking out how much money they're going to pay in general. And the players, are clearly staking their position that they, want it to be a revenue share, kind of modeling the framework of the NBA. Um, I was sort of talking to some people. I think it would be fascinating from a PR standpoint if they offered to take less of a percentage than, frankly, the NBA gets, and said like, "Hey, we're not even asking for as much as the men, but like, at least like pay us under the same rubric, sort of situation." And that would just fit into all the narratives that we know about how women are compensated in the marketplace in general. But it would still be, I think, a huge revenue, or huge increase in the salaries if they were to get anywhere close to the 50% revenue share.
Yeah, well, I don't think they should settle for anything less
No,
because
I agree, but the PR aspect of it, I think, would be fascinating. I mean, I also don't understand. It seems like so much of the onus of it is on the communication right now has been on the Players Association, which I don't totally understand. I was talking to someone. I'm even a little unclear. I need to double check this. Maybe I'll verify this before our podcast tomorrow. Um, I was talking to someone tonight. I'm not even sure lockout's the right word, whether it's going to be considered a lockout or a strike, because like they've opted out, and so they need to reach an agreement at this point.
yeah, I may have used the wrong word there. It's semantics, but a work stoppage, a delay in the
Yes.
season, whatever you want to call it. I think obviously everyone wants the season to start on time in 2026, but at the same time, it's not at the expense of the players getting the short end of the stick again.
Yeah, we here Herb has been paying a lot of attention to the CBA lately. Not as familiar with some of the older negotiations. Ben Pittman from the Athletic was asked a question about the 2003 CBA negotiation. Apparently, that basically got signed in like April, and they had like a week or two to sign all the contracts and get everybody into camp. So I saw a lot of discourse about how, hey, we're pretty far away, no one's going to budge now, and the deadline can um, form the pressure to actually have the agreement happen. And so I could see that. I mean, last time, right, I think they went a couple of weeks past the expiration, and then some of like the February 1st deadline shifted to February 15th or something, I want to say. And it wasn't really that big a deal in the grand scheme of things, but I'm hoping they can work it out. It's going to be really interesting to see, especially just like how equipped the players are to hold out. I don't know how much money like Georgia Amore has been able to save up, right? And a little different situation than if you've been earning millions of dollars on the men's side, and theoretically have a little more chance to have that emergency fund get fully funded.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing that we are in the era of like player empowerment and
Yes.
NIL and things like that, because I do think players like Georgia Amore is a great example, are probably coming off of a college career where she earned a lot of NIL
Yes.
money, and and I don't know every single WNBA player situation, but I certainly hope at least that WNBA players now are more equipped to hold out for a little bit than they would have been 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
And I think that this whole experience has really, I think, galvanized a lot of them, because I think they really do feel, as the Connecticut Sun would say, disrespected by by the league. And it's been a long time until they got a response from the proposal. We heard a lot of discussion about that. Even the yesterday, right? The players came out, but the we haven't really heard much from WNBA yet. Kathy has her press conference tomorrow before the game. But I think there's a lot of talk about how they just have been felt insulted, like that. The owners think that they don't understand the business, and I think they do, right? I think all of this, like being your own brand and having to kind of manage it on their own, because they've been frustrated with some of the things about their the business side of W, has sort of like taught them about all of this, right? I mean, clearly Courtney Williams and Natasha Cloud have learned.
Yeah, have you been watching the Stud Buds?
I cannot say that I have. I don't think I've made an accidental appearance either. How about you?
I've been at a minimum following all the clips on social media. I
Yeah.
tuned in live a little bit, but it's phenomenal stuff. I love those two together, and they are like two of the funniest people in the WNBA.
Yeah, I will say part of the joy of being here, turned out that Courtney Williams' dad's staying at my hotel, so we bumped into him this afternoon.
What a guy!
Yeah, he was, but I mean, clearly Courtney's his daughter, and it was interesting to hear him tell stories, and I got the impression they were a little tired. I wonder what they're going to be doing on. I'd like to see the after party, like hour 72 minutes and 1 second to like 78 or 80.
If
There's
anybody's
gonna be a
going to
lot of
be
snoring.
going strong 72 hours in, it's going to be Courtney Williams.
Yes, unbelievable. I mean, they're superhuman on so many levels. To make it to this level. So, but yeah, so there was a lot of CBA talk today, and I think that was I think to some degree, the players they're trying to enjoy the moment of being here in Indy, but it was a little frustrating to them. They had to spend time thinking about it, talking about it, advocating for themselves. I really, it's easy for me to understand what the players are looking for. I'm really trying to, just so I can better understand the situation, like understand like the owners, just approach to the negotiations and like what they should think is fair, right? Like if I miraculously, had owned a franchise worth $500 million, right? Like how I would go about it, because you do need to keep any organization, right, needs to keep its employees, its partners, its stakeholders happy, and so it's not in the WNBA's long-term interests to, especially with all the innovation we're seeing with the different leagues, Unrivaled, AU, things like that, to have the players be so disgruntled. So I'm just trying to wrap my mind around what they really are. I mean, they obviously would like to keep as many dollars as possible, but beyond that, like what they think is a fair deal.
Yeah, honestly, I probably need to look into more as well, because all I know right now is what the players want, and I know that they're worth that.
Yeah, right. I mean, generally people tend to be on the side of. I mean, we can't even say millionaires versus billionaires, right? It's more like 100,000 heirs versus billionaires
Yeah.
in a lot of cases. So I do hope that the players are going to get a fair share. I'm also fascinated. I don't really understand why, and I would love to better understand why players don't look for money from the expansion fees, right? I mean, it's one thing if like the NFL were to add 2 more teams. The NBA is talking about maybe adding 2 more teams, but like quite clearly the expansion fees that the WNBA owners are getting is based on the hard work of the players to grow the league and the popularity. So,
Great point.
I mean, that would be one of my negotiating positions.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry Jackson doesn't need my advice. She's got a strong team of advisors working with them. I really wish I had met Professor Claudia Golden, right, as the sort of economist that's working with them. I was planning to be there, kind of covering the meeting, but my flight got canceled with stuff, so I wasn't able to do that. But I'd love to better understand that. But anyhow, that's enough CBA talk. Um, yeah, I'm trying to think other impressions. Well, another fun impression that I had. It was a joy to talk with, really all the players was nice, but like it was nice to see Allisha Gray, right? She's, having such a great season. I was trying to talk to her a little bit about, you think about where she was last year. She won both events. I thought it was nice touch today, by the way, to see her in sort of whatever batting cleanup or whatever you would say, as the defending champion for both of them. I guess she shoots fifth in both sessions there. Yeah, she was just talking about how she's got the ultimate green light with Coach Semeska there out in Atlanta, and I hadn't heard her say the phrase before. I don't know if you have it. She talked about just being able to play. She called it thinkless basketball. Have you heard that quote? I guess that she says that all the time. I apologize that I missed that. And it's clear. So she's in the flow, just kind of doing what comes natural, not overthinking it. And so yeah, she was clearly just kind of happy to be here, happy to experience it. So I'm glad to see that. Well, anyhow, we can get in a second. But that was kind of another fun thing. Did you see it? Who else did you kind of see at WNBA Live? Did you see like Easy Fudd? I think was there.
No, I didn't really get the chance to run into anyone famous, to be honest.
Not even like speaking or whatever at events. I mean, it's very zooey over there, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't in there long enough, to be honest.
I see. Gotcha. Cool. Okay, well, what were your impressions of tonight? Did you enjoy the festivities? Let's start with that.
Yeah, it was great. I always love I have always loved like NBA or WNBA, the All-Star the night before, more than the game itself. But tonight was really cool with I love seeing like how hyped they get for each other. Like Erica Wheeler and Natasha Cloud competing against each other, obviously in the finals and the skills competition. Natasha Cloud beats her by a second, and Erica Wheeler is so hyped for her. Goes up and gives her a big hug, and then like same thing, 3-point contest, like Allisha Gray, Sabrina, like Kelsey Plum gets eliminated. They are all so hyped for each other, and it's really cool to see. Like I feel like that embodies like what the WNBA is about, like the community. Watching them, it's a competition, but it's also we are all part of the same team at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure they would say women supporting women, right? It's kind of important to them, an important theme, and it's for the 100 and we like to say 144. That phrase is going to go. It's not even 144 this season, right? But I mean, right? It's clearly they all feel that connection. They feel like an extended family.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I thought it was exciting. Yeah, I enjoyed the skills competition. I think a little more than I expected to. I would love, I just that's such a funny event, right? Like I'm surprised they don't like sell some of those things so that you could like shoot with a windmill in front of you. I don't know. I haven't been to Dick's lately, but it's funny to imagine some
It
kids
should be like
running
a
out.
higher windmill. It should be harder.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think
Well, you have to actually time it to shoot through it, kind of like a mini golf
yeah,
course.
like putt-putt, yeah.
I gotcha. Now it's just like a defender.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I did like your strategy advice. So, if anyone's looking to make, I guess Aflac, it was $55,000 this year that
Yeah.
they paid
I'm
to
not
the
sure
skills
why,
winner, 60 to the 3-point
I don't
champions. But yeah,
see
what's your strategy?
well, I don't see anyone ever do it, and I don't really understand why. So, well, in the NBA side this year, Chris Paul and Wemby did the thing like with the 3 threes, if you miss them all, you just move on either way, so it doesn't really matter. So they did the thing where they just like chucked them up. They didn't even
Yeah.
like take real shots, which they got disqualified for. I think that's dumb. Apparently they like checked beforehand and it was okay and they were told yes. So I think it's garbage that they got disqualified.
Much more ethical basketball in the WNBA.
But even aside from that, obviously they weren't like taking real shots. But I think even if you're gonna say like you have to take real shots, I still don't understand why they watch it. They sit there, wait to see if it goes in. Once it rims out, then they pick up the ball and shoot another one. As soon as you let go of that ball, you gotta pick up the next ball and be locked and loaded because if it misses, like that's an extra second that you can shave off from your second shot by already being ready to go when the first shot is in the air. You don't have to just sit there and stare at it. But everyone does that on every shot. The jumper, the corner three, it doesn't matter. And I feel like there's an edge there. You could take a few seconds off of your time and win this thing if you just are locked and loaded on all of your subsequent shots.
Excellent skills coach, Calvin Wetzel. Yeah, no, it is I mean, I think if you're definitely gonna watch, you should at least reload.
Yeah.
Right. It's one thing if you're gonna start, hedging, a third of the way there or something because you're confident.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're taught to, follow through gooseneck, so maybe that's part of
Yeah,
their
I think they're so
routine.
like ingrained because yeah, like in a game, yeah, you follow through, you watch, but this is different. Like you got to come into this with a different mindset.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun, and then the 3-point competition. It's really, as you said, it's always to me the highlight of an All-Star weekend. Um, you know, the real. I think we're gonna not hear cheers or really excitement in the crowd quite as much as even when Sonia Citron hit. I think she hit 5 in a row on that one rack.
Yeah.
Right? They get to 2, 3, 4, and you hear the like everyone's kind of breathing in, and then they explode on the fifth. Sabrina, of course, is incredible. That's pretty wild that she has the 2 highest all-time
Yeah.
scores. Or might not be able to call it the Allie Quigley Invitational much longer.
She's got a couple championships to go to catch Allie in
That
that front.
is true. I didn't get a photo of it, but I did chuckle that they had to use a smaller font on the list of the winners because she's won so many times that it wouldn't have fit in the space on the display that they had on the jumbotron that we're looking at past the screen here. So that's making us glow incredibly orange, especially with my red shirt. So I mean, tons of excitement. And I was looking it up earlier. Oh wait, I lost it here. I mean, it's remarkable how great Serena is in these kind of 3-point competitions, especially when she's having a down year. I mean, I know it's not the same thing, but I mean, she's shooting 31% for the season for 3.
Yeah,
Not tonight.
it really does exemplify how this type of shooting, like shooting off of a rack in rhythm time, several times in a row it's different. I mean, obviously it's similar, but it's not the exact same thing as like in-game shooting. And some people are just like better at one or the other. She's obviously good at both, but this is like distinctly Sabrina is distinctly good at this type of shooting.
It's incredible. Which are you better at?
Neither. I'm not. I'm not a shooter. I'm a slasher.
You're all about the baseline cut.
I was a slasher before I was washed.
Nice. You're not old enough to be washed yet. Only I am. Yeah, so it was fun. And yeah, like I said, it was great to see the excitement, great to see the fans. Tons of cheers for anyone related to Indiana. That was pretty cool. I like to see not just Lexi Hall, but Erica Wheeler also getting a ton of support.
I really love that.
Yeah. So it was fun to see. and sort of a fun night. I will say, so like classic question as we're wrapping up here. We don't want to go too long. Do you have any brilliant suggestions for what they should do on All-Star Friday night? Any changes, any tweaks? What would you want to see?
I just want to see more stuff.
Yes.
Like
It's a little anticlimactic, 1 hour.
there's just two things. Like they could add stuff. They could do like
I've got an idea. Do you have anything you've been thinking
go
about?
for it.
I haven't heard much talk about this. I don't understand why there's not like a rookie sophomore game. Like it seems like it would
That's an
so
idea.
connect
That's an idea.
to the popularity of college basketball. Imagine if we had like Pop out here and Rivers, Zai James, all those kinds of players. I don't. It would be interesting to think about that. What that would have done to the dynamics of selecting, in particular, Sonny Citron and Kiki Irifan as well. But get some of the players that were second year in the league. And I just think it would increase the connections. I don't know if we could have them play college all-stars, or whether there's NIL opportunities or how that would work. But I think there'd be a ton of interest, like more so even than, in Major League Baseball, minor league. They have some kind of, I forget what it's called, but there's like a rookies kind of game in the NBA. I usually the rookie sophomore game in the NBA, I think they go to the less popular events, but here I think it would kill. I think people would love it.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think the younger generations coming up right now are filled with star power, and
Yeah.
in the next few years, you're gonna have like Olivia Miles and Lauren Betts and Juju Watkins and all these players. So I love that idea. I was also thinking about, I don't even know if the NBA still does this. You can tell me, but
The shooting stars.
yeah, with the legends, I think it's really like not even about the competition itself. I don't care about the shooting stuff in particular. You could do whatever, but just like something like that to get the legends involved. Like imagine if the Fever had a competition with like Tamika Catchings out here competing with Lexi Hall or Kelsey Mitchell or Caitlin if she was healthy, whoever.
I think they're playing us off.
They're playing it.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is our outro music.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, every hero needs a theme song.
You're the hero.
See you tomorrow. Check. 1, 2.